Just one more little thing to do. And hold on a second here. Boom, boom. There we are. Okay, we are officially on the air. Let's continue our chat now. Yeah. Zoom and Twitch are kind of like how do I put this? They're like brothers that fight all the time. They're family, but they don't like each other. So anyway, welcome everybody. Continue like the weather here. Like there's a huge difference between. So you get in this weather long enough, -10 feels warm. Like legit. I'm not even lying. Like -10 feels warm. -10 degrees Celsius. Right. Right. You're like, how could that be? Because there are levels, right? And there's like -0 to -10, -10 to -20, and -20 to -30. Right. And after that, then if you get anything below -30, you're only going outside if you absolutely have to. And you're minimizing your contact at that point once you break about -30 because it gets really, really, really cold. And then it drains you too. If you have to do any work outside, let's say you're shoveling snow, let's say it's -30, you come in exhausted, right? You come in absolutely exhausted because it's not just the work you're doing. It's the fact that your body's fighting against the cold while you're working. So you come back and you're in a warm environment where your body doesn't have to produce what it's producing to heat you up. You're like, oh my God, this sucks so bad, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's something that I got a lot of experience with, is the fact that I've learned that basically with like you learn to tolerate it, right? It's like anything else, right? So I don't know, where do you live exactly?
I live in Hoboken, New Jersey.
Oh, so Hoboken, New Jersey. So you guys go -20 is about as cold as you get, but you got like a wet cold out there, because I know this because I live in Ontario. So
yes, it gets So and I've been up in Albany and I've been Madison, Wisconsin was the coldest I've been because the wind is just when there's wind that it hurts.
What Wisconsin gets cold. Wisconsin gets really cold too. Like Wisconsin. So the coldest spot in Canada is a place called Winnipeg, Manitoba, in terms of like civilized, like not going way, way, way up north. It can get to -6. It can get to -60 there.
Oh.
That rarely happens,
that's not
but
good.
So like these levels are cold. You're like, Jesus, all right. So, but you experience them, right? There's differences in body temperature, right? I gotta go like to my side gig tomorrow, and I'm not looking forward to it because it's going to be probably -20, like 24, 25 when I get there. No one's going to go to that hockey game. No one's going to go to that game, right? So I'm not expecting. I'm expecting to sit on my ass, read books probably for about 4 or 5 hours, and then go home. Right? That's how cold I expect it to be.
That's not good. You're welcome. I have a place you could sleep on. Like I have an extra bedroom. Come and sleep. It's not 80s, but it's like 40s. I'll make you some chicken soup.
Just chill.
Warm you up.
Yeah. Just chill. Don't worry. Like, and I've lived in Arizona too, right? So Arizona's the opposite. You go all the way like to +40, right?
Yeah.
+40, or in your weather locale like 110, 120 degrees Celsius, right?
Yes.
And the weird part is, here's the weird part about living there. You get used to it. You get to like 70 degrees Fahrenheit and you think it's cold. Weird what that weather does to the body.
Yes. I've seen that. Yes.
Yeah. So how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. It's just I got home a little early for this podcast, which always good excuse to get home early.
Yeah.
So it's good.
So you're a writer by trade, or you got other irons in the fire?
Well, my day job, I'm a lawyer by day. That's my day job.
Okay. Yes. What kind of lawyer are you?
I do a lot of negotiation. I manage litigation for various professionals or schools or public officials or all different kinds of cases. And I've been doing this for about 38 years.
Oh wow.
Yes.
So, so I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna talk about your clients by name per se because I imagine sometimes some of the things you're dealing with there are very touchy, right? So,
Yeah, yeah. They get a little touchy, yes.
yeah. So it's I got okay. I'm gonna ask you this, and then we'll talk a little bit more about writing stuff and other things. I'm just a curiosity thing here with litigation, um, like like it, I'm not gonna say like have you seen the dirty side of a corporation exactly, but I imagine that probably the hardest part about your job sometimes is you get to see the worst side of human nature on both ends of the spectrum. Like the clients you represent. I'm not saying again no names or anything like that, but also the people going after them because it like with the way the world has been when it comes to pursuing a buck.
Well, I say that I actually it's the people actually the people are pretty good. I'm surprised how like
Okay.
and I used to do a lot of legal malpractice and yeah just like yes some characters there,
Yeah, I
uh,
imagine.
but really it's more like I find lawyers and I manage lawyers and I explain law school that like the first year they teach you how to do is to learn how to get on people's nerves, and then the second year of law school they teach you how to rub people the wrong way, and then the third year of law school they teach you how to get underneath people's skin, and then when you could do all three exactly at the same time, you're a lawyer. So so I surround myself with those kind of people, yes, and gets that's why I end up writing about being cranky or effectively cranky. But yes, I deal with those kind of people. So, and there's some people are very good at doing that to me sometimes, and I could do that to other people as well. So we're even.
So you'd be the perfect villain on television then. Like you can make yourself completely irredeemable to the eyes of people, right? So
Yes.
if you wanted to. No, I say that because my uncle's a lawyer, but he does translation a lot of translation jobs for the company because of what he speaks, um,
Mm-hmm.
and what he represents. What I like I said, I do think by and large lawyers get a bad rap by and large, right? Because
Yes.
you deal with whether people realize it or not, like professions like yours are very people orientated, right? You're dealing with people and you're trying to solve problems. Now, again, there are there is a certain pugilism in what you guys do sometimes, historically where you guys came from. But like I said, I don't think anybody when they choose a profession necessarily like I tend to believe that people choose what they choose because they want to make a difference. Does that make sense?
Yes, 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 and
Yeah.
especially by writing. Lawyer stuff, I don't know if that's what I wanted to do, but my writing is more like wanting to make a difference. So that's
No, no, that's fair. I mean, that's fair.
yes.
So, big writing fan, like big book fan.
Um, well, it's just writing. Yeah, I got the writing bug, so yeah, I have fun with it.
So, so,
And when you
so.
create something, it's like, wow, I did that. Like, and I wasn't even on drugs, so that's always fun.
Okay. Yep, you're definitely a lawyer. No, so how'd you break in? Like what was the bug? What was the moment for you where you said, I want to write?
Well, actually, I started writing the law stuff. I write. I've written articles. I write on negotiation. That's what I do. And I was a young lawyer. I was asked to speak at a seminar, and I was also told to write 2 chapters in a textbook. I said, "Oh, I'll speak," but writing. And the attorney said, he goes to me, "Steve, if you ever want to be an expert, just write about it." and I took that. That was like
Mhm.
my thing, and it made sense. So whenever I look at something, I just keep writing, and I it speaks to me, and it makes me like think and figure things out. And then this other writing career, which is separate from what I do as an attorney, was all an accident. I was in Rome with my wife, and we were in this Airbnb, and the electricity went out, and she was like coloring her hair, and black dye went in her eye, and she got very cranky. And I write about crankiness. So I said, "You're like the Tyranta Crankatsuris," and Saurus is this Yiddish word for problems. And I said, that's how all other dinosaurs died. There's one little dinosaur who kept cranking out a Saurus, and all the other dinosaurs dropped dead. So that got a laugh in her. And then I wrote this book, The Last Surviving Dinosaur, the Tyranta Crankatsuris. And after that, some reviewer said, well, he didn't talk enough about overcoming crankiness. And I was about embracing crankiness. So I started this blog, and I became a book, A Grown-Up Guide to Effective Crankiness, the Crankatsuris Method. And then I started writing other children's books. I have Snoodles, Cadoodles, Poodles, lots of noodles. And I bought 2 other books following up on that, the Snoodles theme. And then now I just came out with Cranky Superpowers, Life Lessons Learned from the Common Crankatsuris Chronicles. And this is it. So. And that just came out in September, Cranky Superpowers.
So you're about, how to put this, embracing the feelings of the moment per se, right? Because it's like a lot of people try to keep it. I'm a very positive guy. I try to be very positive anyway, right? For the most part. And what I've learned is like I generally have like a good headspace, but well, most part anyway. But I find that I think with anger, like some of them, like crankiness is often considered to be not necessarily the best emotion, but there is a certain, what this, being comfortable in like, feeling the things you feel in the moment is probably a very healthy thing, instead of trying to, oh no, I need to be happy all the time. It's like, no, I can be a miserable person, or I can be cranky, or I can be upset, or I can be any of those things. And in the right context, it's okay to be those things.
Yes. So, I call it the common Crankatsuris. Like if you have a cold, you have the common cold, and you might have 1 or 2 in a year. A common Crankatsuris, you could have 3 or 4 in the morning alone. And I always say, like, giving it a name and making it common. It's not about you. It's just like, this is how we are. We get cranky. So and so not letting it like beat you up like you're supposed to be somebody. And in my first book, I talk about like even with kids, like they always told kids, say what you feel and use your words. So, I feel like angry. I feel angry. I feel angry. And you might think at some point, little Josh is good using his words, but he's an angry little kid. So by saying it's not like, no, just I have a Crankatsuris. I have a common Crankatsuris. So I'm still this sweet little kid who happens to have a little Crankatsuris in me. And so I think that's even better than just even saying I'm angry. So, it just makes you, it's just like a moment. I'm a sweet kid, happen to have what everybody else has once in a while, and it will pass.
It sounds like to me what you basically done is you found a way to make being cranky playful.
Yes. That's what I do in my first book. In this book, I tell lots of stories and have a lot of fun, and how like you learn from your cranky moments.
Sometimes, yeah.
And then you find your superpowers from those cranky moments.
So we can go a couple different ways here. 'Cause I know I'm going to talk about very adult stuff with children's books, but I actually tend to think children's books, if they're done well, deal with very adult things in them anyway, right?
Yes.
Because kids are smarter than we give them credit for most of the time, right? Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's some things I'd rather a kid wait till they're 11, 12, 13 years old to start dealing with. But
Yes. But
by and
they
large,
could get things. Yeah.
yeah, they are very perceptive, and you have to kind of understand, like as far as perceptions go, um, you don't fool them as much as you think they do. Eventually, they may not understand it in the moment, but they do eventually put the pieces together, and
Yes.
so
They're very smart, very perceptive. Yes, that's right.
yeah, they do. They're not stupid, and that's the one thing about kids. And I think a lot of people take it for granted. So you got to write some really adult things. But it sounds to me, I have a theory that what we write about are things about ourselves. I'm willing to make. Can I make a wager on you? And if I'm wrong, you can call me out. I'm just
Yes.
this is a
Okay.
wager. I'm going to wager in your younger days you were angrier. And the reason I'm going to say it like this is just considering what you're writing about is somewhere along the way you figured out how to make peace with whatever you deal with, right? Partly because of your job, partly because of just how life has gone, right? You're like, why am I feeling this way or that way sometimes, and I shouldn't feel this way? And then one day you woke up and you realize, no, I should feel this way. But instead of taking it out in this like negative way on where you destroy everybody else, you're like, okay, what can I do with this thing that I have, and where can I go with it? Is that accurate, or am I onto something, or
Well,
am I just on something?
mm, yeah. No, I wasn't uh, angry. No, no, I wasn't. I was like a funny kid. I was like a
Yeah.
funny kid, uh, but I very excitable and dramatic and all that. But I'll give you an example of when I write and it instructs me and uh, best chapter it's from my first book, Grown Up Guide to Effective Crankiness. I call it was Drive Me Crazy, Crankatsuris. And again, it was like the light bulb in my head where and how it sets up, and everybody has this. I explain everybody has this where like you have in your head, it drives me crazy when, and you fill in the blank, and I cannot understand how, again, fill in the blank. So what happened? It was an actual true story. My daughter went to get her windshield replaced at the windshield replacement store, and they replaced it wrong. So it was leaking. It drives me crazy when the one thing they're supposed to do, they couldn't do right. I can't understand how they couldn't, so I wrote this story where then it's every character in that situation it drives me crazy. And then we go to a restaurant, and of course we're not getting served. The people getting served that came an hour after us, and they're getting served, and we're still waiting to take our order. And it drives me crazy when, and we complain to the owner, and the owner drives me crazy, and the waiter has the same experience because the owner's directing him around. So everybody has the same experience, and it's like pressing the buttons, and like, oh wow, yeah, that happens to me a lot. And then it slows it down. So I go, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. I can still go, yeah, that's one of those things that drive me crazy, but I don't have to go into that smoke coming out of my ears sort of place.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's no, because what you're talking about is you're letting yourself feel what you feel, but you're letting it out in a constructive way, right? Like
Yes.
that's the thing, right? Yeah, like like usually like with a lot of people, they struggle with their emotions and what they're feeling and processing because they have this idea of what they're supposed to be instead of who they are in that moment. And that can be all of us. Like we all have these quirks in ourselves. But the thing about it is, the thing about it is you have to in those situations kind of come to a realization that um okay, you know what? All right, I am feeling this way, and what do I do about it? Right. Right, instead of just letting the emotion control you, you have to learn how to control that emotion. And I think was really brilliant about how you've done things is like, okay, you know what? I'm going to make it playful. I'm going to
Yes,
make it play. I'm
it's
going to make it playful. I'm not even going to try to.
yes,
I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to play with it. And by playing with it, I deal with it in a way that's very, 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 very. Again, it's healthy, but also oddly positive. Like an oddly positive use of anger. I use of crankiness. I use like whatever it is you're feeling, right? So it allows people to feel cranky, but it also gives people a way to say, okay, I can do this in a positive way.
yes. And like so, just to give you another example, in my this book, I have a chapter called Crankatsuris Menopause, and somebody, some reviewer said, I wish she was a woman. After reading the first book, he could tell me how to deal with menopause. So, all right, I'm not a woman, but I'll write a chapter on Crankatsuris menopause. And actually, I have a rule with my wife and I. We have a rule, and the thing of our rule in our relationship is that you get to be 5% insane, 20% crazy, but you have to be 75% normal. And you might think, well, hey, that's a little crazy because you do the math, 20%, that's like 360, that's like 73 days a year. I'm crazy. I don't know if I could deal with it. But it's counterintuitive because if I said you're allowed 0% crazy, when you do become crazy, and we all become crazy, you can't say you're crazy. I'm not the one who's crazy. You're the one who's really crazy. And that would make me crazy. And then I start thinking you're insane. And then we go back and forth, and we have this big fight, and we both think we're both insane and crazy, and then we just go off the deep end. So by giving you permission to be crazy and even a little bit insane, so when you do become crazy, it's like, gosh, he's only using like 2%. So it's counter by giving, and you feel like, oh, wow, I'm allowed to be crazy. It's not that bad, and you feel grateful for about being crazy. And we end up in our relationship only using up about maybe 1 or 2% crazy. By giving you 0% crazy, you might end up 50, 60% crazy. And that's too much.
So I want to get into a little bit more about you because again, somewhere along the line,
Yes.
like you got there's a wisdom to what you're writing. Like I'm like legit like there's a definitive wisdom about it. I have a theory about love. This is my theory about love because I'm not married. You're married, so you might be able to speak on this more than I can, right? Right. As he goes, I don't like even after all these years, I still know nothing. I've heard this too, but this is my theory.
Yes.
I think when you love when you truly love somebody, like when you can trust and love somebody is when you can totally be yourself in front of them, and they accept you for who you are. That means it's not always happy. Sometimes it's crazy. Sometimes it's cranky. Sometimes it's all these things. Like it's not just the embrace or the apology. Right. It's the fact. Like the example I use sometimes is kids acting out in school. Some people would look at that initially and go, well, that's terrible. No, it's not terrible. They feel in an environment where they can be trusted enough to be this person. So now maybe they can't have that environment at home. You don't know. Like you have no idea what happens with it when a kid goes home. Like you have no idea. But here they're being this. And if the teacher, I'm sure there are days the teachers are like, just one day, just give me peace and quiet. I would love one day. Just give me one day. We're good, right? And then the next day you can be back to this again. But right, but by and large, I think the thing about that is they feel like they can be this person in this environment because they trust the people in that environment. And that's when and I realize like that's when I know I love somebody for real, because I can be a little bit of that crazy, like I'm not trying to be the picture perfect person for them. I'm just being me, and they will love me for who I am, good, bad, and indifferent.
Yes, yes, that's exactly right. It's just like you're given permission to be who you are, and you're embraced whoever that may be. So
Yeah.
that's and yeah, that's really important.
Yeah. So like again, I was gonna ask you a really tough question because really I realize like as I'm getting older, I know less. I know less than I thought I did, and that might maybe
Uh,
make me that might make me wiser. I worry by the time I get to about 60, 65, I'm going to be like, I know nothing. I got a fishing pole and I have a drink, and that's about all I know at this point, and that's good, and I think I'll be okay with it at that point. But I just realized like like I don't have the bandwidth anymore to I try not to condemn anyone anymore, right? Like once upon a time I was a more like righteous prick, and as I've gotten older I'm like, you know what, I have no idea what's going on the other side of this, right? And because I have no idea, I'm going to just give people the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. I don't pretend to know. And I find I love people more when I do that.
yeah, no, like in my book, I have a chapter. Um, it's called Peanut Gallery Crankatsuris,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the fancy nuts. They for some reason like they end up sitting at the top of the theater, and they end up throwing peanuts at the stage, but they couldn't see, and it was actually their own kids they're throwing peanuts at because they didn't really see. And it's just again, when you can't see, then you can't really you don't know everything, and I have another chapter in my other book that like kind of deals with that, like not judging.
Yeah.
That yeah, it's like it takes a lot out of you once you start judging the people, and then you start becoming that you're smarter than everybody else. And it's just not good.
Yeah,
So
no. Well, I just think I think the only thing I really at this point in my life that really generally pisses me off is when people have like like they like I'm morally better than you, and right or inside because basically the more judgmental someone is, it's usually like they're coming from their own perch, and it's just like not really much else in the world pisses me off at this point in the world, but that still does. And I think that always will a little bit with me. And I've come to terms with it, like, you know what? I, the people that live and let live, I mean, they may have, no one's perfect, but I can live with most of that stuff. It's the people that don't, that tend to, virtue signal. I hate that stuff. As I've gotten older, I hate
mhm.
that stuff more and more. So they're probably the one version of the Crankosaurus I'll never be able to quite forgive. I hope you understand that.
Yes, yes, I understand.
Yeah, you understand.
Yeah, I
Okay,
get. There's things that get under my skin that
I imagine. I
or get
imagine.
me. Uh, so as an attorney, I always like to say I manage my cases the way I would try a case, and if I talk about the closing argument where you just one second, I just have to.
No worries. We have a moment, ladies and gentlemen, in the middle of the
Yes,
production. Trained professionals. We are trained.
that's right. Yes. So, but anyway, if I really talk about my closing argument, I always would like to say, members of the jury, this is my favorite case to try. It's my favorite case. It's not because of fancy experts or sexy issues. It's because I can rely on the common sense of the jury. Whenever I can rely on the common sense of the jury, juries always do the right thing. And that's, so one, like a case of smell right, taste right, feel right. And a lot of times that's like, like lawyers, this is based on a technicality. I don't understand it. It's so confusing. It makes no sense. It's in Chinese. Not only is it in Chinese, it's in Chinese Braille, but even a blind Chinese person couldn't figure this out. So sometimes, like, I deal with lawyers who want to try like that case that no one can understand. And then, like, just dealing with life when people are doing this, like buying into stuff that makes no common sense whatsoever. So that would make me like a little crazy, like just like this doesn't make any sense. So that kind of gets me like a little bit.
The thing about juries is they're emotional, right? You like if you could, if by and large, like again, adults and this is where adults and kids have something in common. Is adults are pretty perceptive too, right? They're like, hey, I can hear when you're full of shit, right? But sometimes, right? Depending on what the story is, it depends, and it also depends on the nature of the environment too. Like what I find when it comes to people's beliefs, whatever they may be. So I have 12 rules of success. The ninth rule is detach from all outcomes. And the reason why I do that is it's twofold. One is we all have biases. Like you and I both have biases based on what we've seen in life, right? And I would dare say that I would say 90% of what you and I perceive are pretty close to the same thing. But it's that 10% that's interesting, because that 10% is my experience versus your experience. Now, the thing is, I'll tell you a personal pet peeve of mine. Just a personal pet peeve of mine. I hate the phrase "my truth," and it has to do with this rule. I hate the phrase "my truth." My opinion's different.
My truth.
Yeah, you ever heard someone go, "This is my truth," right?
No,
Yeah.
we don't.
No.
We don't have truth. Yeah, I come from the Bronx. You don't talk. Like
No. Yeah. Okay, so it's fair, but I've heard it a few times. I hate it.
What I happen to say in the Bronx, whatever I say happens to be true because I'm from the Bronx. That's a different story,
Yeah, that's all right.
But I don't say my truth. We don't have to say it's my truth. We just say where we're from. You from Calgary, maybe you have to say my truth because otherwise people wouldn't believe.
No.
Where are you from? Well, Calgary, is that your truth? Yeah.
I'm from a little bit of everywhere, but that's another story.
Okay.
Here's my point. The detachment comes from this, right? This might help you with how you deal with certain things too. If we have ideas we accept to be true. All of us have them, right? Now, if you realize what those ideas are, you can detach long enough that if I say something that doesn't make sense to you, you can go, okay, where are you coming from? Where are you coming from? Because I want to understand that at least. Even if I don't agree with it, I want to understand it. But let's just say, for example, I believe the sky is fuchsia. We'll just say that that's the hypothetical, and you say the sky is blue. Okay? Right? You say the sky is blue.
Yeah, blue.
Right? Now, let's just say for the sake of argument that I believe that the sky is fuchsia so intensely that there's nothing you can say to change my mind. Right? Now, the more you insist upon that idea that the sky is blue, the more I will be resistant to the idea of it. Right? But if I detach from the outcome, like if I can detach from my idea, right, I can hear you out. Does that make, like, do you get where I'm coming from there? Like, I can hear you out. I may not agree with you at the end. I might still think that's a fuchsia sky. Maybe not. I don't know. Right? But at the very least, I can look at it and go, okay, I understand where you're coming from. and vice versa too, right? Like you have your own ideas. Maybe you think the sky is glitter. I don't know. I'm just using this as an example. But
Glitter, good.
but that's the thing is, right? We all have our biases. Like we all do. And it's something I've just realized, like, no matter what, like no matter how honest we try to be, we all are going to be there. Our perceptions will color how we see the world. So the smart thing, the only thing you can do there is like, okay, in that 10% variance, I just want to understand where you're coming from. Right now, right? If I understand that, maybe I can work around it. Maybe I can't. Maybe I still think you're nuts when it's over. But at least I'll hear you out. This is right. You know what I mean? I'll hear you out.
Yes.
Right? And I'll
Yes.
hear you.
You know,
Right.
we slow it down and like listen and show you listen. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Or
So that's it's always important.
sometimes that's all it takes. Right? Now, when
Mm.
it's a whole jury, right? I mean, at that point, you almost have to take your hat off to your opponent because it's like, wow, he's an impressive bullshitter. I will never buy a car or anything from this guy ever. But he's good at what he does, right? And
Yes.
right, and I'm sure there's been like times you've seen that, and you're just like, wow, you're a world class bullshitter, and you're good because you got all of them. You didn't get me, but you got all of them, and that's just like it happens. You can fool people. Like people can be fooled. We all can be fooled. That's the other reason that rule
That's
exists
right.
too, because I will admit it. Sometimes I'm a sucker, but at least, but I'm honest enough with myself to admit that I can be fooled, which ironically makes it harder-ish to fool me, right?
Uh,
If that makes sense. It's like because I know I can be
yes.
fooled, I'm more on guard for it.
Well, I could tell you I've been fooled. So because I've been fooled, like I learn. You know, you learn from experience. So you've been fooled. Yeah, I've been a fool sometimes. I've been foolish. I've done all the different kinds of foolish kind of things. So you know, I learn, and I look at things slow down. Like, you know, it happens. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. So like that's just it, right? I'm just saying I mean, you might still be cranky at the end of the day about it sometimes, but it's life. You have to accept like, you
Yes.
know what? This is the world isn't just made for me, right? And sometimes you just got to accept that and you're just like, and even though sometimes you're like, why is it like this? Then I've actually gotten a little bit afraid to ask that question now as I've gotten older. Why does something work this way? Because sometimes the answer hurts more than the question.
Uh,
Sometimes. So I
yes.
got a little scared. Anyway, can I ask, what were your favorite children's books as a kid?
Children's books. Well, I like Dr. Seuss. I think more of like the books I liked, like I reading to my daughter. My daughter's like 29 now, but I would read Tacky the Penguin, Lynn Messenger. There's Tacky. Tacky is goodly, lovely, angel, neatly, and perfect. And Tacky was a bit of an odd bird, but everybody loved Tacky. And then there's of course Roald Dahl books. Love that. I actually I'm coming out next month with Noodles in Space Episode 2, The Zoodles Strike Back. And that is a takeoff on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And what I do is make the bad, you know, there's these kids who are like greedy. They take things they're not supposed to. And I was thinking about that, like in the original story, there was a lot of media attention. All the TV stations were there and the newspaper people were there. And these people like turn blue and do this and do that. So they must have been shamed. Like everybody knew what happened to these kids when they went back to school. It's like, ah, ha, ha. So in this book, I have, they go to Chunky Chockadoodle's Candy Doodle Factory, and Frimpy Fruddle has a fitsy witsy Pop-a-Doodle, and Wimpy Whiny Woodle has a Swizzly Twizzly Slime-a-Doodle. So Frimpy Frumpy goes pop, and Wimpy Whiny turns into a bucket of slime. But they become heroes in the end. So I have, so that just to get you like segue into like my next book. So I did love the Roald Dahl books.
Okay. So I'm just asking because, like, again, you have a certain whimsical nature into. I'm just wondering, how much do you read? Like, when you're not doing, obviously you're reading a lot of research in whatever cases you're in, but when you're not doing that, I'd be curious what you were doing for fun, right? So, you know, it sounds like
I run. I run. I'm 62. I'm a senior citizen, believe it or not. People say, "Oh, you'll look like it," which is good. But I run like 2 hours every morning. I've run 55 marathons. I run New York 19 times. I run Boston 5 times. I like running, and what happens when I go running, I think like the ideas just go in my head, and I start writing. And sometimes, like, I see the characters and I listen. They start talking. I just watch them, and that's like kind of like where it gets me into like my writing stuff. So when I get back from a long run, I say, oh, let me just write that down. Of course, I wouldn't be running in 40 below zero. That's not going to do that.
Actually, I'm gonna give you a very weird thing, like, about running in cold weather, because I have to, not this cold, mind you. I wouldn't run 40 below zero, but I have run at 10 below zero, right? And here's the interesting thing. So again, we're Canadians. We are a little insane. I totally accept that. Just look at some, like, our history is interestingly messed up. But when I was a kid, when I was in high school, I was doing the cross country. So we happened to get snow. So it was like -5, -10. So here's the interesting thing. You actually have to strip down when you run. And the reason why you want to have to strip down when you run in that weather is you heat up about, like, it's cold for the first 2 minutes you run. And then
yes.
And then you warm up, because the fact that you're moving and you're going, your body naturally heats you up, right? So
yeah,
if you're wearing a lot of layers and you're running in that, you actually end up having, like, it makes it worse. So you actually have to strip down to when you run in really cold, like, weather, like.
I've run in like 6 below zero Fahrenheit. I think that's the coldest.
Which for us is about -10. Actually, that's about -10, -12. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was like I did not strip down. I had the layers. The layers were good. It kept me nice and warm. The one thing, like I would cover the face with like a thing over my mouth,
yeah,
and it would freeze, and then I would have to like this face guard. I just have to keep turning over until it melts, and then I keep turning it over again. It melts.
Yeah,
and I keep doing that.
Yeah, but that's part of the reason why. Like when we would strip down. Part of the reason we didn't all strip down all the way. Like, we would be running in, but yeah, but we'd go down to shorts and like a t-shirt, because I know everybody listening to this is going to say this is weird. It's like, no, because when you run for a long period of time, you, like, what he's talking about happens all the time, right? Or maybe like a light jogging suit, like something like for the cover. But yeah, when you're done, you bundle right back up, though, because your body just kind of crashes. But yeah, it was just like, would I run in 40 below zero?
No.
Probably not. No, you could unless it was life or death. Nope, not at all. It would be a brutal. It's brutal experience. Even walking out there for a short period of time takes a lot out of you. So I can only imagine what running would do. So real quick. So have you done marathons or anything like that, or is it just more like your?
Yes,
zen?
I've done 55 marathons. I've done New York City Marathon 19 times. This year, I'll be doing my 20th New York City Marathon. I've done the Jerusalem Marathon, the Tel Aviv Marathon,
Oh
the
wow.
Berlin Marathon, Honolulu Marathon, Miami Marathon. Yeah, so I've done a bunch of marathons. Chicago.
What's your favorite
I
one?
haven't done any in Canada. Chicago. I like Chicago. It's like you have room to go. It's flat. It's easy to get in, easy to get out. They have beer. When you finish, the beers taste good. Dublin I like also because the beer is the Guinness is really really good at the end.
We actually make Guinness up in Canada now.
Oh wow! All
Yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah,
I have
yeah,
to go
yeah.
up to Canada.
Guinness. Oh, okay. In terms of beer, uh, we have okay, we are one of the large. We are probably the largest beer drinking nation in the world. Considering that there's 40 million of us, that's actually a little scary, but it's actually true.
Yeah,
It's actually true. But there, no, we have an amazing sort of beer, and our beer on average is stronger than yours. So like, yeah, like I think you'd
yes.
have, yeah, on average is stronger. So it's you'd have a good time up here. Like you would have a really good time up here, and just come in the
When
summer.
I
Pick a summer, just pick a
when
summer
I
month. You'll have a good time.
when I was in college, I went to college up in Albany, and you would have a lot of kids from Buffalo coming to college in Albany. When I'm downstaters and upstaters, and the Buffalo people would always bring cases. They would go into Canada and get cases of Molson's Brador. And back then they didn't have all the micro brews, whatever. Now it's easy to get like a really strong beer here, but here it was like Budweiser, Blatz beer, or whatever. And Molson's Brador was supposedly stronger. And yes, I had a number of those, and I felt it.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
fact, this is
absolutely.
like 79, 80, 81, like a long time ago.
Yeah, no, the microbrewery phase is definitely up to your game down there. But no, because your average beer, like your average brand name beer down there, I'm gonna say is legitimately terrible. Like I don't feel it, right? Because because I'm also coming down
Now,
from the mountains, right?
mm,
I can't even get a buzz off like a Bud Light or Bud Light. I just can't. Like it's just like I can't even. It's
no,
like it's just not even there, right? And you want, like I said, I'm not encouraging anyone just to drink to get wasted, but you want to feel it when you have a drink, right? You don't want to not take the edge off a little bit at least when you have it. So
yeah, no, like a good like 6% IPA. It's like, oh
yeah,
yeah, it's just
that's what you want. That's all you want, right? So
that's it. Yeah,
yeah, and that's it. You just want to feel it. You just want to feel it, and then you want to just relax and chill with your beer. But yeah, okay, yeah, you should do a Canadian marathon at some point. But like, just say you've
I
done it.
should.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that you've done Jerusalem and Tel Aviv is like, have you gone to other countries besides Israel?
Uh, Berlin in Germany and Dublin and in Ireland. I would like to do London. That's on my bucket list.
Okay,
Quebec City, I would like to do. That would be fun. I've been to Quebec City. I love Quebec City,
Quebec
but
City.
not. I haven't run the marathon there, but I've been to the city and I've been to Montreal. But I've
Yeah,
been up to Banff by you, so I've been
Banff
there.
is
That's
beautiful.
beautiful.
Banff is beautiful. I actually lived
Yes.
in the mountains for 6 months when I came back up here. I miss those mountains. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I'm not even like
Uh,
joking. If you live it, I don't know. Like I don't know if you ever had the luxury. If you ever lived in like a mountainous region, you can almost like you feel them. And when you leave, I can still see the mountains from where I'm at, but it's not the same. It's just
not the
not the
same though.
same. No. So that's cool. So I'm gonna ask a couple more questions, and then we'll get to the plugging of the books. The first question actually is this: why do you like running so much?
Uh, why I like running so much.
Yeah.
So I used to be heavy. I used to be like 240 pounds. Like it was like December 1987, and I was 240 pounds. It was like 40 waist, and I was like, this was like after law school, and I was cooking and eating, and I was living in Pittsburgh, in this big football town, and like
Oh yeah.
you're eating chips and beer nuts and and fried foods. pastrami chopper triple decker sandwiches. So I was eating like a lot of bad stuff, and I was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then between Christmas Eve and New Year's, my girlfriend dumped me, and then my brand new car got stolen, and I got fired from my job. So I lost my girl, my car, and my job. And I said, no matter how tired I was going to go to the gym. And I just cut out fried foods, cut out potato chips, cut out the junk. And I lost like 85 pounds in like 5 months. Like people say, oh, do you have AIDS? Do you have AIDS? I said, no, I don't know. So halfway, like when I first started, I did 3 minutes of the life cycle, level 1. I was like, I couldn't breathe. And then like a few months later, well, it's not like a run, you know. So that got me into running. And one of the things, it actually in the early 2000s when my daughter was young, I noticed I was gaining weight, and I noticed what I was doing then. I was being her garbage can, so she would like not finish a chicken nugget. I would just eat it, and so that got me thinking about like what I did before, and you know, I talk about it in both my books. That like, you know, like I very big on, you know, people like talk about habits, like, oh, you have to get good habits, and I talk about normals, developing your normals, and so that became my normal. You know, I describe like the difference between a habit and a normal. Habit is like you find a good parking spot. Oh yeah, this is a good parking spot. You park, but it is like I come from New York, and there's alternate side parking. You might have to move the car at some point. A normal is like you're building a house. There's more permanency to it. So what's like normals could I have? And so like I woke up today, oh, I really wanted to snooze that alarm. I thought, like, I am a little cold, whatever. I was just going to stay in bed. I got up. And once I got up, I thought, oh, I could go out. And so I went for my run in the morning because that's what I do. But there's a lot of mornings, like there's that 2 seconds I'm thinking, can I take a day off? You know? So, yeah, it becomes my normal. And it really gives me, and I live in Hoboken, right on the river, and I run along the river, and I have the New York City skyline and the sunrise coming up over New York, and it's gorgeous. I always take pictures of the sun, the sky, whatever, it's this dramatic sky with this dramatic skyline. So, yeah, it gives me juice. And it starts that creative energy. And again, I do a lot of my writing when I go running, and sometimes if like I get characters. So the fun one in my book, I have Cinderella Crankatsuris, and I have all these characters. It's completely different than real Cinderella, but like the king and queen, they're like my parents. And it's just like watching them talk. I don't have to do anything. I just watch them talk, and it's just a lot of fun.
So running means you Zen. It's almost like your place is Zen.
Yes. It's my place. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. I can respect that. Like I said, you actually make me almost want to run again. Now I won't run today, but I mean, because well, you know what I got to deal with right now. But when the weather gets a little nicer, maybe I'll get back into the.
No. You'll go like this.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then, yeah, no. Don't.
No. You go outside and you just hear it. If you hear a giant F-bomb from all the way up north, you know it was me. That's all I gotta say about it.
Okay.
It's like what the hell is that? Oh, I know why. Yeah, it's like stupid weather. But the final. So I guess the final question is, and this might be a big one. I don't know. It might be a small one.
Okay. A big one is good. I
don't know. It's for some people it's an easy one. Some people it's a hard one. What did writing these kids' books teach you?
They taught me. They taught me I mean, the best. Well, they taught me like possibilities, and they taught me that you discover things that you would never expect. Like I didn't plan on it, and the fun thing, I just wrote the story for the next Snoodles book, Snoodles in Space, Escape from Zoodletraz. And the amazing thing was, and I think this is like the best one out of all of them. And the thing about writing is like, I'm not going to write something just to like write crap. You know, it's just like I want it to be up to par with what I've done before or better, which makes it tougher. And after I finish a book, I say, well, that's it. There's nothing left and nothing left in there. I don't expect anything to come up. And then that's when I think, well, yeah, there's nothing. And then all of a sudden I get an idea, and then it's like dust, it gathers, and then they get attracted to each other, and then I have a story.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wow, this is fun, and then I could do that. Oh, that's another idea. Make it better. It's just like it. And I like cooking, so I like to cook and with the different ingredients. So like I see writing almost like in the same way. Oh, I can add this. Like, oh, this is going to be a delicious stew I'm making. So that's what it turns out to be. And that's the fun part with kid books also is with the illustrator, where you're collaborating. But I have an amazing illustrator in Nottingham, England. I'm going to fly out next month to hang out with him, and that's like where you get Christmas presents. Like he draws up stuff like as you go along, and it's like opening up Christmas presents all the time.
That's really fun.
That's the fun part with doing kid books as opposed to the adult books.
You can make adult books fun. But yes, maybe not nonfiction legal books. I don't know about that, but you can make adult books fun. But
so my adult book is fun, but it's the collaboration is fun. I like cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I do comics, so I totally understand it. Like I totally understand it. So, Mr. Steven.
Oh,
there you go.
There it is. Yes. Yeah. Just he does the great cover. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Steven, I think we have an interview.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so if we have an interview, I think what you need to do, this is what you need to do. What's closer, your last book that came out or your next book? I think it's your next book, right?
My next book is coming out next month. My last book came out in September, so they're really pushed together.
So I think what you should do, this is how you should do this. You should give people a nice little wonderful spiel about your next book, because that by the time this episode airs on the audio, your book will probably be out or just after. So talk about your next book, go in great detail about it, and how can people find you when it's all said and done.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
Okay, so all right, my next book. So this just actually. The Snoodles series. I have Snoodles, Cadoodles, Poodles, and lots of noodles. It was followed up just this past April, Snoodles in Space, as Snoodle, the Zoodle, Cadoodles, and One Happy Schmoodle. And you think that would be enough, but no. Next month is the follow-up, the third in the Snoodles series, Snoodles in Space, Episode 2, The Zoodles Strike Back. And in that story, I love this story. If anybody knows about like Roald Dahl, Willy Wonka, and the Chocolate Factory, this is kind of like a different twist to it, because you have the Chunky Chockadoodles Candy Doodle Factory and Grumpy Grimy Grudelman's kids. Grumpy Grimy Grudelman invented the Grudel and runs on gruel. It's very stinky, but this is before the Snoodle-mobile, which runs on noodles, or the Krautmobile, which runs on sauerkraut, and that wasn't too good either. But the kids, Frippy, Frumpy, Fruitle, and Whippy Whiny Woodle end up going to the Candy Doodle factory, and then Frimpy Frumpy has a Fizzy Wizzy Papa Doodle, and goes pop, and then Wimpy Whiny Woozle has a Swizzly Twizzly Slimadoodle. She swizzled and she twizzled, and then she turned into a bucket of slime. Not very good. So the nice thing about this book is these kids, where they didn't get a good media coverage. Can you believe it? You know, it's just like they're called like Slimadoodles and all that, and it's not very nice. So they become the heroes at the end. The heroes at the end, and they help save the planet, and it's a wonderful story. You would never expect it, but that's what these books are about, things you never expect.
That's right. From Crankatsuris to The Revenge of the Doodles, Stephen Joseph, you sound like you are having a blast being a kid's book writer. So.
And you could follow, I have an award-winning blog, StephenJosephAuthor.com, where I write about crankiness and stuff that you could even find on Cranky Superpowers, Life Lessons Learned from the Common Crankatsuris Chronicles, or A Grown-Up Guide to Effective Crankiness, the Crankatsuris Method. So a lot of things to, you could have a lot of fun. You have to get a good taste on my blog, and you'll be entertained.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. And that, folks, will do it for Stephen Joseph. I want to apologize to my viewers this week. I had a couple more interviews planned, but I messed that boat up. I'm hoping to get that corrected soon. I want to thank Stephen for coming on the show, for being a really
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you were fun, man. You were fun, man. So for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see ya next time.